All right, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm joined by my man Antoine Ford, also known as Classic Finesse. If you're
Yes.
watching the video, you probably see he even entered his name as Classic Finesse, so that's how you know it's real. Antoine
Yes.
is a former football player at Western Illinois. Him and I have been working together for about 2 months now. And I wanted to have this guy on for two reasons. Number one, to tell his story, because I know it's going to help a lot of other former athletes out there like us who have been through the trials and tribulations of life after sports. The second reason I wanted to have Antoine on is because he has a lot of knowledge. And I think people are getting, especially men, where this is going to be a call predominantly. This is not to say if you're a woman to hang up on this or stop listening to this, wherever you're listening. But if you're a man and you're wondering why you can't seem to put the pieces together and get where you want to go in life, or you're constantly in a battle with yourself day by day, I think you're going to want to listen up and turn the volume up once Classic Finesse gets on the mic. All right. So with that being said, we'll just start out because I want to start talking to the athletes first. But Antoine, why don't you kind of talk to people about what life was like for you once you left Western Illinois and your football career was officially over?
Oh, man. So the football career, as far as college goes, was a little bit on the rough side for me because I was recruited as a wide receiver, and that was my passion. That's what I was really looking forward to becoming a really top elite, dominant wide receiver, and then really, perfecting the craft of that. As a child, I'm going to go back a little bit. I was born in 1990, so my era as a teenager was in the early 2000s. So I grew up looking up to the likes of Marvin Harrison, Randy Moss, Torrey Holt, even Isaac Bruce, the greatest show on turf with the Rams. T.O., especially when he went to the Eagles, because I am an Eagles fan. And Chad Johnson, all the receivers, Steve Smith, especially for the smaller wide receivers, because I'm 5'11" or whatever. He's 5'9". So really looking up to them and just emulating their style on the field. So when I was getting recruited, I really had that visualization of really becoming the same type of wide receiver as they were on the field, just making the same type of plays in my own respect, obviously, but really going out there and making a difference. So when I was recruited by a former NFL wide receiver. He played for Western Illinois. That's the school I went to. And he ended up playing for the Browns for like 7 years or whatever. His name was, Frisman Jackson. He recruited me as a wideout. They ended up redshirting me. And after the redshirt season or whatever, they basically came up to me and told me that they were low at the cornerback position. They needed more depth. And I was the only player that they could see would be able to make that transition due to my quickness and my athleticism. And so at first they told me it was temporary or whatever. So I kind of went along with it. Yeah, they gave me that.
We know how that goes.
Yeah, so I kind of went along with it or whatever. Ended up doing it. And then for training camp. And then by the time the season came, there was multiple times I asked to get switched back to wide receiver because it was my passion. Cornerback wasn't what I was there for. That wasn't, what I wanted to do with myself and my career. So just to speed up the story, every single season afterwards that I was there, I would ask to get switched back to wide receiver. And, even though I'd come forward and be honest with them, they would find a way to tell me that I needed to stay at cornerback for the team or whatever the case was. But I ended up staying at, cornerback the whole time. And to be honest, to be frank with y'all, I wasn't playing out of a place of love for the game or passion. It was a place out of instinct. And with that being said, I was still able to play all 4 years and start all 4 years, but it just wasn't the same drive I would have had at wide receiver. So my career ended up being mediocre. I leave out of college, and then I end up actually going home to Jersey for a little bit. And it was actually kind of depressing because that's not where I expected to be after graduating college. I expected to be somewhere completely else, in a different position and more power. So I was looking up just arena league football teams for the most part. I ended up getting signed by an arena league team, playing the cornerback position. And basically, man, it was ended up being a tougher road than I expected. Ended up just doing a couple years of arena ball, but I was playing the corner position, so I wasn't as passionate. I was balling out, but it just wasn't, it wasn't the same. So a couple years down the line of playing arena ball, I just ended up, I found I got a personal training opportunity due to some family connections, and came out here to Charlotte and ended up pursuing that for the past 3 years. So I graduated December of 2013, played a couple years of arena ball, and then got into personal training in 2016. Long story short, pretty much. So yeah,
man, you covered a lot of different subjects there that I know a lot of people can relate to. Even stuff just like the politics of college football. A lot of us have that experience where we go from thinking it's going to be one thing and it turns out to be another, whether it's politics, it's coaching changes, it's the way coaches may switch up on us from how they act during the recruiting process to how they act actually on campus. Even like you touched on, losing the love for the game. Falling out of love with the game is something that I don't think is really talked about a lot, where you go from being, it becomes a job once you get there. And when you reached out to me, it was dealing with that. I guess we'll call it resentment, right? Which I had too. I won't go into the details of my career. Maybe I'll do that on a separate video. But I had a lot of resentment about my career, but the way my football career turned out, that was holding me back in other areas of my life. And because I wasn't able to move past that, it was keeping me from, making the next chapter a great one. I was so hung up on the last chapter of my life and how things were turning out that I wasn't able to move forward. And so when you reached out, one of the things that I remember most was we spent a lot of time on that, on kind of getting past that, which I'm glad you shared, because I know people are going to be able to relate to it and be like, yeah, man, I got done dirty too,
Yeah,
people
man.
need to hear that. And another thing you were telling me is with the whole personal training thing. I mean, I'll let you go into it, but what are some other things, I guess, besides the resentment of how your football career ended? What are some other things that you feel like you needed to overcome internally for you to move forward with your life?
And we discussed this, just finding my purpose afterwards, just finding that same passion in the real world that I had as a teenager at the wide receiver position. Because I do feel like a lot of people kind of settle and just go along with the system of getting a 9-to-5 job or a corporate job. I could do that. I ended up graduating. I got the college degree, but it just never resonated with me. Like, I wanted something that I actually enjoyed doing. I feel like money is important. I don't want to downplay money. It's great to have it. It's an access towards freedom in a sense. But if you're making $1 million a year and you're miserable with the job that you're doing, like, how much value do you really see in that for yourself? So I really was focused on finding my life's purpose first and finding something that I could resonate with, like I did with the wide receiver position, as far as, finding what I want to do for the rest of my life and implementing that.
One of the things I remember most about that first call when you reached out was that you said, I know that I'm here for a reason, right? And when you said that, I was like, okay, yeah, I can work with this guy, because I knew that you had that drive in you to be something more and that you weren't going to be stopped. And that's the kind of people I'm looking to work with. And plus, we had a good dynamic from the first call. It's like, yeah, we'll be able to get some work done. So that's dope, man. What else? Is there anything besides, what are some things that you had to kind of, here's a better question. What do you think was kind of in the way of you locking in on finding some clarity around what you wanted your future to look like?
My personality is pretty interesting. I'm very introverted. And I understand that the dynamics behind a lot of these careers that people pursue and the stuff that they get into involves contacting and associating and talking to a whole lot of people. I don't necessarily find myself passionate about going out my way to talk to people or going out my way to sell myself to people. So, or just fitting in with regular humanity, because, yeah, that's another topic. That's a topic,
I'm sure
man.
we'll get into it. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, just finding my whole niche in this world, in a sense. I want to stay true to myself. I don't want to have to sell my soul or anything or act different or just to try to fit into certain circles, just to succeed. I really want to, in a sense, and it might be looked at as stubborn, but I want to do things my way. You know what I mean? So just having a type of personality, just having the type of personality that I have may not necessarily fit in with the cliche or with the norm, as far as success goes, and that's when I have to, buck down and get really creative.
Right. Yeah. I already know, and I think anybody who's listening or watching right now is deeply resonating with what you're saying, because a lot of times I guess the world may try to make us feel guilty, or we may even make ourselves feel guilty for wanting more. And we're just we're fortunate enough, and I guess the younger generations, people in our age group, we're fortunate enough to live in a time where you can actually customize your life. You can, if you have a vision for what you want your life to look like, the only thing stopping you from getting there is obviously talent. You got to be realistic with yourself, depending on what you're looking to do, but also just the amount of work you put in or who you team up with to make it happen. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I knew that I could, like you said, I could have been successful. I was successful in the corporate world before I left, but I knew ultimately that success, financial success, wasn't worth the toll it was taking on me mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I knew I had to go, even if I had to struggle for a little bit to make a different life happen. So now I get to wake up every day and do, and work with people like yourself and build relationships with people like yourself. And I love what I do. I'm an introvert too. I spend all day indoors after my workout on the phone, helping people, and this is a life that I never really saw for myself until I started creating that life for myself, So I'm sure we'll dive into, let's actually do it right now, because I want you to give some advice to former athletes. But before we do that, let's just kind of dive into what that passion that you discovered for yourself is throughout, our time working together, and what that's going to look like moving forward for you.
Okay. So the passion that I have for myself is basically just mastering the mind. I want to delve into the aspect of becoming not necessarily a life coach, which it is, but a mindset coach, because everything, as far as how you feel, how you view the world, your whole perspective around it on an individual level is mental. All is mental. That's the first universal law if you research universal laws. So really just mastering your perspective and just mastering your emotions, becoming more proactive with how you feel, as opposed to just reacting to everything, just reacting to what's popping on social media, reacting to what this person just said to you, reacting to what this celebrity just did, just becoming just a slave to stimulation. We want to be proactive and set our own intention towards every single movement that we perform throughout our daily routines, and becoming, just getting in control, more so in control, grabbing the steering wheel and controlling our lives, instead of just like I said, reacting to everything and then just becoming emotional off of it. Like have more control over our own emotions and things of that nature. And I feel like once you master that, you can really direct your life and dictate your life how you want and how you see fit. You gain the most power that you can once you come in control over everything.
That's dope, man. And the thing I really love about what you're doing is that you're able to build this on top of what you're already doing. Because one of the things that you probably remember this in the first couple of weeks, I was like really trying to make sure, is being a personal trainer something you actually want to do? Because some people, they come to me and they're in the total wrong career, total wrong job. They need like a fresh start. or they're not working at all. They have no idea where they even want to get started. But for you, it's like, okay, yeah, being a personal trainer is a good fit for you. You can be your own boss. You love working out. But the great thing about what you're doing is that now you're able to build on top of it and find the passion in expanding what you're already doing and bringing the mind-body connection together, which is awesome, you know. And I think now's a good time to give some advice for anybody, not just former athletes, but anybody who's listening right now and they're at a crossroads in their life where they're like, I know it doesn't necessarily have to mean starting a business, you know, it could be just even a career, something that they're trying to figure out what it is that they want to do, you know, what they want their life to look like moving forward. You know, what advice would you give to a student athlete or otherwise who is trying to figure out the next steps in their life or struggling to find that passion that you rediscovered for yourself?
Just find the time to master your own, you know, just principles, your discipline. Life is very stimulating. Life is very stressful. So what helped me out is just learning the art of meditation. And meditation isn't necessarily just sitting in a sitting position with your legs crossed and a kumbaya and just It's not necessarily just that.
Right.
There's many aspects behind it. It's just being in tune in the present moment. You know, being in tune with your senses, your breathing. You can lay down and meditate with the right intention. You know, just finding a couple minutes throughout your day to just relax and just let all the tension go and just sit back and just chill for a second. You know, so you really want to just ground yourself and find yourself. And, you know, really just from there, just once you master your own mind, master your emotions, you'll be surprised what opens up to you. You know, once you stop being distracted by everything that's going on, you'll be surprised what comes to you as far as finding your own purpose, finding your own happiness and your own peace. I think a lot of us get caught up in what everybody else is doing and what everybody else is expecting from us. And instead of taking the time for ourselves to go within and go deep, really figure out. It's tricky. You know, it can definitely be tricky. We want to do our best because school doesn't teach us to find our own passion. School just throws a bunch of stuff, a bunch of information at us and tells us to just remember this information and then just paste it on a test, copy and paste or whatever, and just follow the crowd. You want to find your own individuality and find yourself on what your true purpose is on this planet and why you're here and what you've been sent here to do for yourself. It's all an internal journey. It's all an individual spiritual journey that we're going through. So basically just find your niche, you know, find your niche and try to utilize what the sport that you are in taught you, all the disciplines that it taught you, all the strengths and everything that it's given to you, and just find a way to apply your talents and what you've learned into the rest of the world. Because regardless, say I would have, you know, me or anybody would have made the professional league, and whether I would have made the NFL or whatever, this maybe this guy would have made the NBA, or this person would have became a professional tennis player or whatever have you. It's a temporary career at the end of the day. Even if it lasts 16 years, it's still a temporary career. We still have more of a purpose behind that. You know what I mean? So regardless, I think it's important for somebody to find their true purpose on this earth, even if you just use that aspect as a tool to get to where you want to go.
You mean the aspect of meditation? Or are you talking about sports, using sports?
Sports, and then, you know, you can apply it to meditation and everything.
And then throughout your meditations, how did, I guess what I'm asking is, well, here's an even better question than how did you find your passion or discover your purpose, is when you think about your purpose, now, you know, how, like, what is your purpose now what do you feel like you are here on earth to do?
I'm here to express myself and to guide others into basically finding themselves and their own purpose in this world. because I feel like, going back to the whole school thing and just society in general, we're taught to follow the crowd too much instead of finding our own divinity, our own, our own purpose on this planet, our own reality that we can mold for ourselves. Like everybody has something different to bring to the table. You know what I mean? I want people to just find themselves, find what makes you truly happy, find what fulfills you. Because the reason why you want to accomplish this certain goal, the reason why you may want to get to a point where you can buy all the material things that you desire, the car, the house, or the chains or whatever, because deep inside, you're trying to reach fulfillment. You're trying to reach happiness. What I want to try to teach people to do, this reality is very subjective. So it depends on what you want to do for yourself. But at the end of the day, I feel like you want to cultivate that happiness and that fulfillment within yourself without relying on all the external factors behind it. You want to create that happiness and be blissful already by default. So just in case something bad happens, you're not, letting that drag you down because you're not depending on that to, reach your fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. I love it, man. I love it. I think what you said a few minutes or a few seconds ago is so important, that everybody has something that they're here to do. And I think that's important to realize, because like you said, you don't want to call yourself a life coach, right? I don't call myself a life coach either. I think that's too general. For someone to say I'm a life coach, it's like, okay, what does that mean? That means I'll help you with this, this, and that. I think it's very important to be specific about what it is that you have to offer. And that's based on experiences that you've been through. Like, I don't even know what to call myself. I call myself an athlete career coach just because that's the best title I can think of, right? But what I'm doing is bigger than that, but I don't want to limit it to being a life coach. Like, you may call yourself a mindset coach, but Classic Finesse is more than a mindset coach. It's all encompassing, but it's based on experiences that you've been through and knowledge you've accumulated over the years. And that's important to remember, not just when you're starting a business or, wanting to be some sort of coach, but it could be anything. It could be throughout your, however you manifest that through your career or whatever. To keep in mind, you have a very specific thing that you are able to give to the world. And once you're able to cultivate that, you can, that's when things really take off for you. I just wanted to say that for anybody who's listening, who's like, man, I don't really know. But like Antoine said, spend some time on it. Spend some time actually thinking about what you want to do. What would be an enjoyable lifestyle for you? What gifts you have to offer, and just really come up with a clear picture. Like, not also, like Antoine said, not just for money, right? Because money is not good or bad, but money is not powerful or not powerful. We assign the meaning to the money. But the funny thing about money is it's really abundance, and abundance comes to you as a form of putting things out into the world. Putting your true gifts out to the world, and you're compensated based on the value that you add. So I don't want to get too deep on them yet. We got a lot of topics to cover, man. We already
there's multiple forms of currency behind money. You can get, people get stuff for free all the time and have stuff given to them. This currency is just, money just represents currency, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to take a deeper dive into more of what you're doing. Well, real quick, just as we're wrapping up our time together, and really just the beginning, man. We did our 8 weeks together, but this is just the beginning, because our minds, I think we think a lot alike, and we're on the same mission, just to help people uplift themselves, especially a lot of the fellas out here who are lost. But just real quick, anybody who is working with me or going through my program, what advice would you give to someone who's working with me, or even someone who's just working with, a coach, some sort of coach to help them get from point A to point B? What advice would you give to that person?
Well, I'd assume they're investing in you or them for a reason. Just listen, be open-minded. You know what I mean? It's pretty cut and dry, because I think you told me before that if you've dealt with some people that felt like they knew everything already. And just, take it seriously. Whatever you or whatever they tell you to do as, homework or whatever, really, utilize that time, because it's beneficial, it's very valuable, and it'll help you out. It'll help you find your whole reasoning behind everything and your whole purpose. So I would say just the main thing is really listen and take heed. because it's some valuable stuff. You know, you guys are here for a reason.
Right.
You know,
That's great advice, man. And you're right, because early on, like I'd say my first 6 months when I first like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help former athletes. I did have a lot of people where I learned how to weed people out, is what I'm trying to say. Because some people would, you know, I would try to work with them anyway, like try to force it. And I knew from the beginning, like, this person is not going to be coachable or not going to be receptive to what I'm saying. Now I'm able to weed those people out from the jump, and I will turn someone down if I feel like they're not going to be coachable. I knew within the first 60 seconds of talking to you that we were gonna have a good dynamic, and because of that, we're able to get a lot of work done. You know, so. But yeah, man, back to you. What's next for you? Talk about like where you see this going. I know we talked about a long term future for what this looks like. Let's just talk kind of big picture, long term. Like what's next for you immediately, and what's next for you 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the line.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm going to expand on my personal training, and then I'm going to develop that into, you know, incorporate that with the whole mindset coaching thing. Combining the mind aspect behind it, the mind fitness with the physical fitness. Because in order to be able to get up and go to the gym and get the physical body that you want and change your whole lifestyle in general, it has to be up here first. You have to have the discipline, the determination, and everything behind it. And I feel like the mindset behind the person, their thinking patterns, everything is the foundation behind everything that they want to happen externally, whether it's a fit body or it's whether they really desire to have a mansion or anything material. The foundation behind growing this big ass tree in front of me, you can't see, but obviously there's trees all over the place. You get the point. They have roots under the ground. So the root cause behind everything that's going on with throughout your life comes from within. So I really want to focus on that aspect, just combining the mental and the physical. And then, you know, eventually we'll get, get to the spiritual side of it and all that. But that all has to do with the internal work before you see the external work behind it.
Exactly. That's amazing, man. So if people want to know more or they want to tap into it, because I know a lot of people do struggle with diet and exercise, and it's because they haven't laid down the foundation, or they're not tapped into the roots, like you just said. So if someone wants to get in touch with you and learn more, or just follow your journey and see what you're up to, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, there's this thing called social media.
Okay. We were just talking about this beforehand, right? We come from the MySpace era, So
yeah, figured that part of it. Well, as far as Instagram goes, it is Classic Finesse. Classic has 2 Ks. Don't forget the 2 Ks. So there's a K in the beginning so it would be a CLASSIC, but instead with me, it's KLASSIK. Finesse, FINESSE, $9.99. Yeah, so that's my Instagram tag, Classic Finesse, $9.99. And then my email is my first and last name. That's Antoine, ANTOINE, Ford, FORD, just like the truck, 29@gmail.com. You can hit me up there. I'll check those things out. And then, I can see what we can do, whether it's personal training or whether it's mindset coaching and really getting that internal alchemy going on.
Internal alchemy.
That alchemy. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we're about to hit 2020, man. I really feel like spirituality is about to take off because they're really starting to push this artificial stuff with it's everything artificial. You'll see with the whole computers and the phones and the 5G and just everything's about to enhance in that aspect. So I think it's really time for us to, before we start getting too dependent on the artificial and all the robots and stuff, we should really start to get in tune with what we have within. We're a lot more powerful than what we've been taught growing up throughout school and, even what our parents taught us and just society. Like, I really think we really have a lot of power within us that's not tapped in, and it's time for us to engage in that, in my opinion. So
speak on it. Speak on it. Let me get
Oh
the
yeah.
podium out for you, man. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's get the podium going.
Oh yeah.
So you heard where to get in contact with Antoine. Reach out to this man if you need any kind of guidance. The thing I love about him is, you've been able to help me so much, man. Just as much as I've helped you, you've helped me too, right? And this is why I think anybody listening or watching this video should reach out to Antoine for whatever's going on in your life. And we're about to dive into some bonus questions in a minute. And fellas, listen up. If you're a young man, it doesn't matter what age you are, you need to listen up to what Antoine's about to say about this. And I save these questions specifically for him. This applies to women too, but let's just talk about, here's one. Let's talk about the difference between no fap and semen retention and why. So we're just going to start deep. Why you should be more focused on semen retention than no fap.
Well, semen retention. So, as even on the most practical scientific level, you can understand that semen has a lot of power within it. Semen happens to be able to create a whole nother life form, a whole nother baby. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So as much energy, as much power as it takes to create a whole nother life, imagine what you would do or what you would be able to cultivate if you kept that within you instead of just spreading the seed all over the place. I can't remember the exact number, but every time you release your seed, you're releasing a certain amount of pints. I don't know if it's I don't want to just like 20 pints or whatever. I got to look up the number again just to be fair, just to be real. But it's definitely a certain amount of blood that it takes to create semen that you're releasing. So you're essentially kind of releasing blood every time you spill the seed everywhere. And, there's that old saying where the reasons why boxers, they wouldn't have sex like, weeks before they got into a fight. Because I've noticed with myself, it does kind of weaken you, kind of weakens your legs. You kind of feel a little bit different. You feel guilty. You feel a little bit drained. But when you're able to restore or keep that semen within, that energy within, you'll notice a huge difference. Your skin will start to glow. You'll vibrate more energy. Women will start to be more attractive to you. It'll help with your anxiety. It's like there's just an aura around you, And semen retention, I've noticed, like we talked about recently, like I'm seeing all types of semen retention videos on my timeline. So y'all can kind of research it yourselves, but it's starting to, become a trend for a good reason. And I feel like that's the power that we have as men. We really want to be careful of who we're giving our power away to, because sex is a very, very powerful ritual that we, partake in. And it's kind of taken for granted with everybody just trying to just splurge around and just mess around. That's valuable time. That's valuable energy that you're giving away. So you just want to be mindful of that. And, and you keep your semen, you're keeping a lot of your strength, kind of like Samson in the Bible with your hair. Like, men, that's our power, man. That's our power. So I would just say for the people watching this, man, look into that. Research semen retention. In general, yeah,
major factor, major life changer right there. It's really about taking control back on your life. A lot of us feel out of control. I'm sure at one time or another, every man has, whether you want to admit it or not, has been addicted to sex or addicted to porn. And like Antoine said, man, you're just wasting that energy. Sexual transmutation, look that up too. You can take that sexual energy, like Antoine said, the ability to create a life can be put towards other things. No matter how much you believe in spirituality or not, that energy has to go somewhere, right? Whether it's working out in the gym or whether it's creating a better life for yourself, it's going somewhere, right? And it's better for it to go out into the world, into your life, than into a sock or onto a piece of tissue or something. So,
even the energy you get when you catch an erection, that same type of energy can go into something else. That's still energy, even if so there's this book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. He talks about sexual transmutation. What he means by that is basically basically when you get to the point to where you're about to release, if you can hold that in, that's energy that's energy you're cultivating. If you can hold that in, you can use that energy to manifest something else or to put in to something else that you're working towards. That's what he means by the sexual energy, by the way. Building up to that point of where you're about to release, and then putting an intention behind the thoughts that you have in your head, or cultivating that energy to go work out or go just do something productive. But yeah, read that book if you'd like, The Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what that means behind it. Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Yeah, I love that book. For me, when I read that section of the book where he was talking about sexual transmutation, I understood what he was saying, but I wasn't practicing it, So I was like, wow, that's kind of deep, but I never did anything with it. And then once I actually started practicing it and seeing the results, I was like, wow. So just give it a try, fellas. If you're listening to this, here's a challenge for you. See if you can go 1 week, right? Just 1 week without touching yourself. Go 1 week, go 2 weeks. Try to see if you can make it to a month. I guarantee most people listening to this or watching this have never gone 1 month without ejaculating. Probably not even 2 weeks. Probably not even 2 weeks. So just give it a try. And if you think you're not addicted to porn or addicted to, whatever, see if you can just make it. I challenge you to see if you can make it to a week or 2 weeks. And when you have the urge, take that energy, like Antoine said, and go do something else. You have the urge, go hit the weights. Go, work on something. Work, push yourself forward in your career, in your business. Go read a book. You have the urge to open up the laptop and go on Xvid or Pornhub, whatever. Man, take a book out. Watch what happens for you. Challenge yourself. If you want control back over your life, this is the fastest way to do it. Trust me.
And I'll say this, man, discipline is more important than motivation, because when people are motivated, they'll be motivated for a couple hours, a week or month, and then it'll begin to die down. If you're able to maintain the discipline behind that, you'll be able to go through your mission, your goal without the motivation, because you'll be able to hold yourself accountable and stay disciplined throughout. And then you'll still get through your journey. You'll still accomplish your mission without the motivation, because motivation is it tends to be just a quick spark. If you can hold yourself accountable within mentally and you have that discipline, you're unstoppable. If you have discipline as a man, as a human being, you are unstoppable. Discipline is the key. Discipline and focus is the key to life. And, you obviously know what you want as a person, as a human being. You know what you want to accomplish. Stay focused, stay disciplined. There's nothing that can stop you. We're put on this earth given all the power that we need to accomplish what it is what we want to accomplish. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Hey, if you're listening to watching this, you might want to run everything Antoine just said for the past minute. You might want to run that back. Listen to it a few times until it really sticks. Wake up in the morning, skip to that section, and just listen to it over and over again.
Yeah, man.
Anything else, man? Before we get out of here, I think we're giving them enough game right now. You just dropped so many gems. I think we can wrap it unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
That's pretty good, man. But yeah, just as far as back to the whole, sports thing, that there's a lot that can go on, man. You just kind of got to forgive yourself at the end of the day, forgive your circumstances and get through it, because I also didn't mention, not only was my position switched, not only did I have 3 different head coaches, we only had 1 winning season the whole time. So those other 3 seasons that we didn't make the playoffs, sitting there just getting blown out every single game, and that can really take a toll on you as a player and really stop your motivation. So for the players, this is kind of random, but for anybody that's a player that's in college, that's in high school, and they're on a team that's not performing as well, and they're getting blown out every game, don't let that take away your motivation and your individual drive. I know we're taught to be a team player, but at the end of the day, you got to accomplish your own goals and your own dream. I kind of let us get blown out every game, kind of not only was I not playing the position that I wanted to play, and I was already not as passionate about that, I was letting that kind of get to me, because, if you're getting blown out 40-0 in the third quarter, you're not going to be as motivated to make plays. So for the young athletes out there, if you happen to not be on a top-notch program, just do your best individually to make highlights. Even if you're losing 40-0, get that interception, make that tackle, score that touchdown. Just do what you got to do to get through, man, and make your own highlights so you can succeed to the next level. Take care of yourself. At the end of the day, you gotta, if you're about to crash on an airplane, you have to put the mask on first before you can assist others. So just, you know, self-care, prioritize everything you want in life, and do whatever you need to do to, you know, make yourself accomplish your desires and your goals and your dreams. But that's pretty much it. I think we covered you know, a good amount, everything.
Solid advice, man. And also, like Antoine said, not just current athletes, but once you're done playing, be willing to forgive yourself, because a lot of us make ourselves feel guilty or feel bad because our careers didn't go the way we wanted them to. And that's doing nothing but holding you back. That chapter's closed. Make peace with it. Be proud of yourself that you even had the opportunity to play at an elite level, even if you rode the bench the whole time. You got a scholarship, or you played at, it doesn't even matter if you played D3. You played with an elite group. You got to play a sport beyond high school, and you should be proud of that. And now that chapter's closed, forgive yourself, move on, and focus on what's next. You can still win in life. You know, like I always told you, man, we're playing the game of life now. You know, that's the most important thing to remember.
It's different than just playing a gladiator sport for other people's entertainment. You know, for sure.
right.
As much as we love the game, you know.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's about us now. It's not about the people. It's not about the spectators. So before I let you go, man, this is the part where I got to get mushy on you and just acknowledge you and say thank you, because it's a different experience when I work with people. Obviously, I'm working with different personality types, but I always get something different, man. And what I got from you is really solidifying within myself some of the things that I already believe in. Even something as simple as, like, you know, seeing retention or just discipline, just little simple things like that. The fact that you are already incorporating these things into your life, it set the example for me too. So although I may have, you know, kind of helped you get clear on what you wanted to do moving forward, it was a reminder to stay consistent with some of the things that you were already doing, man. And you got a lot of knowledge. I picked up a lot of things from you, a lot of things that I started researching, even something like Brother Panic, who I started researching. You know, go check out Brother Panic if you want to dive into the deep spiritually. But anyway, I'm saying all that to just say thank you, of course, for allowing me into your life, you know, to do the coaching and to build the relationship with you, and for all the things that you taught me in return. And I couldn't be more excited for you moving forward. Couldn't be more excited for all the things that we're going to be working on together to just help people, man. So thank you. I just want to acknowledge you for that for a second, man.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you as well. It's crazy. When I saw your ad, I was like, yo, this speaks to me directly, because that's something that's not taken account of at all. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that's going through similar things. Like when you stop being an athlete, you know, when you graduate and things don't necessarily work out to where you planned it as a child, and now you're just out in the real world, you got to figure things out for yourself. It's a whole different ball game. And, you know, just what you're doing for former athletes is very, very valuable, you know, and the majority of people may not appreciate it, but it's the real deal that a lot of us are going through. Like it's a form of trauma that we can't really express to others. And most people, the general population won't be able to understand, you know what I'm saying? So just you being there to someone that went through the same experience to be able to talk to, it's definitely a great, you know, a great form of therapy in a sense, and a great, you know, great form of communication, man. And I greatly appreciate what you're doing out here, and it's going to help a whole lot of people, you know, just keep it up, and just thank you very much.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You just made my whole day with that. That means more than you know. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it, man. Real quick before I let you go, I know you talked about your Instagram. Do you have the link to your YouTube channel on there too? Because I know you just started a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I just started a YouTube channel. I named it Introverted Alchemist.
Oh, that's fire. That's fire. As a fellow introvert, man, hey, I love that. Introverted Alchemist. Ooh, if you don't know what an alchemist is, do your research on that too, or just go to Antoine's page. He'll break it down.
I'll break down alchemy for you, you know, for sure. Introverted Alchemist on YouTube. I got a couple old videos up there, and I'm starting to put up newer videos because I'm getting right back into it. And, you know, we're going to keep the party going, man. And we're going to make a difference in this world. Definitely the real difference. Entering 2020, man, this decade that we're about to hit is real. I don't think people understand. It's about to be a real decade. So it's not about, it's not the New Year's resolution. It's a new decade resolution. It's about to change the game for real.
There you
so
go.
check that out.
Okay, man. Yeah, I'll put all that. I'll put all the notes, your YouTube and Instagram, all that stuff, your email and the notes and all that stuff too, man. But I'll let you go. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for taking some time. I know this is going to bring a lot of value to people, man. You dropped a lot of gems. So thanks for taking the time. And man, have a great day. I'll catch you later. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. You know,
indeed, man. Let's keep in touch.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good one.
All right, man. Peace.
Later.